A simple object found in many homes cost this 3-year-old his life. Now a renewed push to ban all window blinds with cords. And then one Westminster house terrorizing a whole neighborhood. The problem solvers are looking into why the city can't end this nightmare. Tonight on Fox 31 News after Next Level Chef.
Been enjoying the mild temperatures because cold and snow is on the way and a pinpoint weather alert day. I'm tracking the timing and how much to expect. That's what's next on Fox 31 News.
Commitment to delivering the most news coverage, to bringing you the most accurate forecast, to setting a higher standard. Fox 31, we're on it. Live from Denver, this is Fox 31 News at 9:30. We're on it.
The breaking developments tonight. It has happened again now. A fourth flying object shot out of the skies over North America, this time in Michigan. The Pentagon now saying why we're seeing so many and why they won't rule anything out, even extraterrestrials.
Cold and snow on the way back in a pinpoint weather alert day. The question is, will you be able to sweep it away or do you have to shovel it? More in pinpoint weather.
New tonight and only on Fox, touching news stories about fallen police officer Julian Becerra.
I was like, oh my God, I knew him. I know him.
This young girl tells us how the Fountain police officer was able to lift her spirits years ago.
New tonight, the problem solvers look at dangerous window blinds, a tragedy for this Colorado family.
That the cords were wrapped around his neck.
Now leading to new rules for window coverings in our homes. And new tonight, the problem solvers investigating a serial hoarder. Just months after this junked up home was cleared out, it's all back, and neighbors say it's dangerous.
It's as bad as it was last time.
And new tonight, the huge announcement from Rihanna just minutes after her high-flying Super Bowl spectacular.
Lots to get to. And first up tonight, a U.S. fighter jet shooting down a fourth unidentified object, this time over Lake Huron, Michigan.
The series of military operations unprecedented in peacetime. 2 more unauthorized objects taken down over Alaska and Canada.
And, of course, that original Chinese spy balloon shot down over the Atlantic days ago. Fox 31's Joshua Short on it tonight, talking with experts about what's happening in our airspace. Josh.
Hey guys, I'm talking with experts because everyone's been talking about this over the last week. What's in the sky right now? Are they weather balloons? Is it another country spying on us? What's going on here?
Tonight, Americans are still wrapping their heads around a seemingly unending and unprecedented show of force in the sky. Just in the last week, our country has shot down 3 aircraft over North America. This is in addition to the Chinese spy balloon shot down off South Carolina earlier last week. It includes an object shot down in a joint operation with Canada on Saturday. Tonight, the Pentagon is responding.
Again, as we have said, we do not assess that the recent objects pose any direct threat to people on the ground, and we are laser focused on confirming their nature and purpose.
The Department of Defense also saying they haven't ruled out extraterrestrial activity.
This is the first time within United States of America airspace that NORAD or United States Northern Command has taken kinetic action against an airborne object.
Apart from the Chinese balloon shot down over South Carolina, the Defense Department is moving away from classifying these objects as balloons. So what's with all these unidentified flights suddenly over our airspace? I asked William Parker, a 30-year military vet and professor at Metro State University in Denver.
Yeah, Josh, this isn't new. I mean, as a matter of fact, the first balloons were used in wartime during the Civil War. So we've been seeing balloons for a long time over the United States from our adversaries and from friends.
Parker says the difference this time is that some of these objects move from the northwest corner of the country all the way across the United States and hovering in very strategic areas, which is raising concern.
I think the more of that we can do of capturing as opposed to shooting them down, the better off we'll be and be able to explain who did what to whom and also what intelligence was collected of these objects.
And we reached out to state officials today about all this. They are hoping to get briefed sometime this week. I'm Joshua Short, Fox 31.
Joshua, thank you. Let's turn now to pinpoint weather if we can. Our team tracking a snowstorm that could cause some problems for your commute a little later this week.
And that's why we have called a pinpoint weather alert day for Wednesday. Chief Meteorologist Dave Fraser is on it tonight, tracking the timing, totals, and who's getting hit the hardest.
We have been tracking this storm for about a week, and in the last few days, the timing has looked consistent. So snow moves back into the mountains during the day on Tuesday. That's 7 p.m. I think we get home along the Front Range without a problem. Snow quickly moves in, and by Wednesday morning, the drive is going to be a challenge. And then Wednesday evening and Wednesday night, the snow starts to end from north to south. Now, these areas are under a winter storm watch. This is where the snow could be deepest. It does not include Metro Denver, and there could be some wind blowing the snow around. So our confidence remains where it's been for the last few days, right down the middle. We like the timing. However, the storm is shifting a little bit, and sometimes that can have an impact on totals. So here's where we stand as far as totals right now. Lesser to the north, and then it gets deep, you can see here in southern Colorado. So what does that mean for the Front Range? Well, it means around an inch to the north in Fort Collins. You come into the city, and we're looking at about 3 inches downtown. And then on the south side, you get down to Castle Rock, and it could be as much as 6 inches or more of snow. Now, while the plows will be out clearing that snow, you may have to do a little bit of shoveling yourself. So what might you need? I think you're definitely going to need the shovel. And for those of you on the south side of town, maybe even fire up the snow blower. Now, here's what to expect. A pinpoint weather alert day Wednesday, the impact on the commutes, the much colder temperatures, windy at times, and again, we'll be adjusting the accumulations. And by the way, tomorrow, your hour by hour is here. It's a mild Monday with the temperature, as you can see, getting into the low 50s. That's the warm before the storm. Enjoy it. We'll talk about the storm more in Pinpoint Weather.
All right, our thanks to Dave there. Fox 31 closely following the story of Officer Julian Becerra. He died after falling 40 feet from a bridge trying to detain a carjacking suspect tonight. Fountain's mayor explained the circumstances leading up to the incident on that bridge.
Yeah, Thompson telling us the suspects were repeat felons with multiple active warrants.
They should never have been out on the street in the first place, but due to a lack of accountability in our justice system and failed bail reform initiatives, they were allowed to prey on our citizens and create the circumstances that put Officer Becerra on the bridge that night.
That, again, Sharon Thompson, the mayor of Fountain. She blamed decriminalization policies and more lenient sentencing. The community has been remembering Officer Becerra for his service, dropping off flowers and sharing their stories at his memorial.
Fox 31's Rogelio Mata is speaking with a young girl who says the officer made a big impact on her life, and it's a story you'll see only here on Fox 31. Rogelio.
Guys, the memorial behind me here has flowers, letters, and cards to Officer Becerra. One of those letters is from a young girl who said he taught her a lesson in kindness at a very young age. A moment of encouragement from Mom.
You're doing great, baby.
And Zoe Patterson was ready to pay her respects to an old friend.
I almost cried. I just didn't want to, just because I was like, oh my God, I knew him. I know him.
He was Julian Becerra, but Zoe knew him as Officer Julian. She saw on the news he'd been hurt.
My arm just got goosebumps and stuff. I was like, I really hope he makes it.
The fifth grader, an admirer of those who serve, her mother says, but especially Officer Julian.
The first time it was in third grade, he came to my school, Eagleside Elementary.
Zoe left a teddy bear and card at his memorial, remembering when she saw firsthand the quality of his service.
He just came outside. It was actually lucky because no one wanted to play with me at that time at recess.
A third grader sitting alone made a new friend.
He saw me sitting on the yellow curb and he asked if I wanted to play hide and seek, and I said sure.
He may not have been very good at hide and seek.
We played and then I found him because he hid in the bush that was cut down, so.
But there's no hiding the impact Officer Julian Becerra made on the city of Fountain, starting with one quiet third grader he met at recess.
It made me feel really happy because he was the only one who played with me, and I didn't really have any friends that time in third grade.
Officer Becerra is survived by his wife and 2 young children. We're live in Fountain. Rogelio Mata, Fox 31.
Tonight's tragedy for one Colorado family, leading to new safety standards impacting a household hazard you may not have even considered. A family recovers after a terrifying hit and run. The suspect accused of ramming their vehicle with children inside.
My youngest, she was so scared that she couldn't even cry.
The driver who did this still on the run tonight. And they say it's better to have loved and lost than never loved at all, unless you've lost your savings to a romance scammer. In a story you'll see only on Fox 31, the problem solvers talk to a man who says he tricked women around the world, revealing how he did it and how you can protect yourself.
The biggest team, the biggest commitment. Fox 31 News. Live from Denver, this is Fox 31 News at 10. We're on it.
New tonight, look at that yard filled with junk. Neighbors say this serial hoarder is so addicted to it, he pulls trash right out of the dumpster to put in his yard. This was after he was forced to clean it up just months ago. The problem solvers looking at why it was allowed to get this bad again. New tonight, more than 70,000 Americans tricked out of their money by romance scams. Tonight, the warnings from victims and even a former scammer from overseas.
God helping you, you can't lose.
Also new at 9, this woman in her 90s is regarded as the CU Buffs' biggest fan. We're there while she meets Coach Prime. And new tonight, 25 years after the Broncos Super Bowl win, we're hearing from the players about the magic mix that led them to victory.
There's a lot to get to, and we start right now at 10 with a North Glen family recovering after a scary hit and run that happened Tuesday afternoon.
The suspect accused of ramming into their vehicle with kids inside. This happened at 104th and Huron. We're hearing from the family tonight. Fox 31 Samantha Spitz joining us in studio tonight. Samantha.
Yeah, hey, good evening, guys. I mean, looking at the extent of the damage to this car, it is a miracle nobody was seriously hurt. The mother tells us her kids are still pretty shaken up from the hit, but they're thankful it wasn't worse.
At this busy intersection in North Glen,
I was on 104th, and it was like any normal day.
Dusty Nielsen, her niece, and 2 children couldn't have predicted what would happen next.
And I was going to make a right on Huron when the truck came barreling out and hit me. At first, I was stunned because I didn't know what just happened, and then when I saw him fleeing the scene, it made me angry.
Dusty's niece, Kaylina, sitting in the passenger seat and taking the bulk of the hit.
I just couldn't breathe. Like, it was so hard to breathe because I was just panicking.
They were all shooken up. They started yelling and screaming. My youngest, she was so scared that she couldn't even cry. And then my son, he started yelling, "I want to go home, I want to go home."
The passenger side now left with a shattered window and giant dent. Luckily, Dusty says no one was seriously hurt, but the driver took off.
We could have been seriously injured in the crash, and he just left like he didn't care.
She says she filed a police report with North Glen Police, but the driver still hasn't been caught.
Now, every time I see a black truck, that's all I can think about is was that the guy that hit me and my children.
Dusty says they were hit by a man driving a black Chevy truck. We have reached out to North Glen Police for more information, but have not heard back. If you witnessed this hit and run on Tuesday or have any other information, please reach out to police. Live in studio, Samantha Spitz, Fox 31.
All right, Samantha, thank you. We are following some breaking news. Denver police investigating a deadly crash involving a pedestrian. This is going on at I-70 near Pecos. A live look right now from our CDOT cam. Well, we're told the driver stayed on scene. Eastbound I-70 is closed right now at Federal, and it could be a while as police there investigate, so find an alternate route.
There are some new details tonight from Evans, where a woman had to be taken to the hospital after a man reportedly hurt her and then tried attacking her with a sledgehammer. Police say this all started just after 11:30 last night near 37th and Salida Court. When officers got there, they said a man was hitting a vehicle with that sledgehammer. Then he started running toward the woman with the weapon. Police say they shot at the man but missed him. He's been identified as 40-year-old Jacob Werma. He's now at the Weld County Jail, where he faces several charges, including first-degree assault on a peace officer.
Some new developments. A cyclist is now dead after being hit by a car in Fort Collins. It happened just before 1 this afternoon at the intersection of South LeMay Avenue and Centennial Road. Fort Collins police say the man on the bike was crossing the street when he was hit by a car. Police say the car had the right of way. The driver of the car was uninjured.
They're scared for their lives to live here anymore. It's a health hazard here.
Can you blame her?
No, I don't.
Hood hoarder has made things so bad, one couple has put their home up for sale. A problem solver's follow-up now to a man neighbors truly fear. What does it take to declare a home a health hazard and declare it uninhabitable?
That's what residents in Westminster want to know after the city just cleaned up the property of a neighborhood hoarder for the second time in 8 months. Problem solver investigative reporter Rob Lowe with the follow-up he first brought us last summer. Rob.
Erica, we were there in June when the city cleaned up the home of William Prouty because he wouldn't do it despite a court order. On Thursday, the city did it again. But neighbors say it's just a Band-Aid, and now one couple has put their home on the market. This was the home of William Prouty in June, as contractors removed all the junk from his front yard and his backyard. Yet now, 8 months later, it was again a junkyard, this time with 2 cars in the front yard and a toilet. The backyard mess includes a propane tank neighbors fear could explode.
It's as bad as it was last time. The whole backyard's full of stuff again.
Neighbor Billy Shanker calls William Prouty the neighbor from Super Hell. In the past year, he shared video of Prouty shoveling snow in his grandfather's face. Just a few weeks ago, his cameras caught Prouty backing into a neighbor's car and then driving away.
Luckily, we had cameras and we caught it. And then 2 days ago, he was out here in the snow grabbing stuff out of their dumpster and putting it in his yard. It's in a dumpster for a reason. We don't need to have it in your yard.
He has been a nuisance to the whole neighborhood.
This neighbor asked us not to identify her, but it's her son whose car William backed into.
He clearly hit it, he didn't care, and he drove away.
Now, she hopes to move away. How unfair is it to you that he's not the one moving, you're the one moving?
It sucks. We've done a lot of remodeling to our house. It's very beautiful inside. It's very nice on the outside, and he just makes our whole block look trashy.
While the problem solvers were there, 6 Westminster police officers walked up. 4 of them went to William's door, but he wasn't answering.
He knows when they're coming. He goes in and he hides.
Police did tag his car as abandoned because neighbors say it hasn't left the curbside in weeks. But the 2 cars in the front yard, they can't touch. That's a code enforcement issue, and Prouty dumped some rock in his front yard a while ago since you can legally park vehicles on a rocked surface. The city says he appears to be seeing how far he can push the limits. Hey, William? It's Rob Lowe with FOX31. He wasn't responding to me either. Can you come out and talk for a minute? But we noticed his door wedged open with even more junk and trash piled high. Based on our peek inside, we and neighbors wonder why the house hasn't been declared a health hazard. Do you feel like the city needs to condemn the house in some way to force him out of there so that someone who will actually take care of the property could move in?
Yeah, and they need to make sure that it's okay to live in. If it's not, it needs to be condemned.
I think the city of Westminster needs to condemn the house, tear down the house, and then arrest him for what he's been doing.
By email, Westminster told the problem solvers the city does not condemn properties. However, the city can deem a property unsafe if it is determined by the health officer to be unsanitary, or if it is determined by the fire marshal to be a fire hazard. At this time, however, it does not appear that the property meets the criteria above. Perhaps because the city admits it's never sought legal permission to go inside. Though there's little doubt officers could peek inside the open door just like the problem solvers did. A few days ago, city contractors came back to remove the latest collection of Prouty's junk. They would tow away the boat, 3 cars, and 8 trailer loads of stuff weighing 50,000 pounds.
Yeah, it's just a Band-Aid, and it's almost like they're not going to do something until someone gets hurt or something worse.
A year ago, something worse did happen. Just a mile away, a hoarder's house blew up, killing the man inside and damaging multiple homes. Neighbors on Bar Lane don't want something similar to happen. Just this morning, a neighbor emailed me to say that William Prouty is already putting new stuff in the backyard. So days after the city removed all the junk, he's apparently starting up a new collection.
So here we go again. It's got to be frustrating for neighbors and taxpayers. And speaking of taxpayers, how much did it cost the city to haul all this stuff away?
So they just tallied the bill for us on Friday. It's $5,500. They're going to send that bill to William Prouty. If he doesn't pay, the city says they're going to put a lien on his house.
Unreal, Rob. Thank you so much for your reporting there.
Yeah. All right. Well, you saw it here on Fox 31 tonight. The Kansas City Chiefs are Super Bowl champions again. Most of you watching the Chiefs beat the Eagles just an hour or so ago, 38-35.
The party just getting started in Kansas City tonight. Fox 31 sports anchor Bruce Hurdle here now with a look at that big game. Bruce.
Well, Erica, in any three-point game decided in the final seconds, the outcome generally hangs on a couple of plays throughout the course of said game. And while some will question the late holding call against the Eagles before the winning kick, so it was with Super Bowl 57 between those Eagles and the Chiefs. I offer for your inspection then 2 huge game-changing plays. The first coming here in the second quarter off a fumble from Jalen Hurts that was scooped and scored by Nick Bolton from 36 yards out to start a game that Philly was starting to control. Then early in the fourth, in a game that Kansas City had yet to lead, a really poor punt from Aaron Sippis, giving Kadarius Toney a chance for a big play in special teams. 65 yards later, the return sets up the Chiefs at the 5, where moments later they would go ahead and take the lead by 8. So a defensive score and essentially a special team score. That's how you overcome 11 and a half fewer minutes of possession. Beyond that, the Chiefs' offensive line simply won their battle with the Eagles' front four, who simply didn't get to Patrick Mahomes at all. No sacks, 0. They also helped produce 158 rushing yards, which was just 26 fewer yards than Mahomes threw for, and he was the game MVP. So the Chiefs have the second Super Bowl title now in 4 years, and at the age of 27, have the best quarterback in the NFL, very much in his prime. Oh, and in head coach Andy Reid, boast probably the most creative of offensive minds in, well, the game's history. This is the backdrop that the Broncos will be operating in for the foreseeable future. Hub?
Yeah, we get to play him at least twice next year. That should be fun, Bruce. Thank you. The flyover during the national anthem has a Colorado connection. Fans treated to a U.S. Navy flyover, and for the first time, it was piloted by 7 women to commemorate 50 years since women were allowed to become U.S. Navy pilots. And Aurora native Petty Officer Second Class Michaela Martin is one of the sailors who maintains the aircraft supporting the flyover. So congrats to her for being part of this historic moment.
Everybody caught that moment. Rihanna's stunning Super Bowl halftime show featured that special surprise. It turns out she did not perform solo after all. After her performance, her representatives confirming to several news outlets that Rihanna is pregnant with her second child. Rihanna's baby bump visible, causing widespread speculation online that the singer might in fact be pregnant. It took about 30 minutes after the game was over to find out that she was in fact pregnant with her second baby.
Invincible and not scared of heights, apparently.
Yeah, incredible.
Impressive for sure. Valentine's Day is this week, by the way, and the scammers know it. We're talking to a former con artist about romance scams, so you don't fall for one.
Plus, nearly a week after the earthquake, rescuers are still finding people alive. The amazing new footage when we come back.
And I'm meteorologist Dave Frazier. It has been mild. The work week starts mild, but our attention is here on a pinpoint weather alert day for Wednesday. As cold and snow is heading back our way, looks to hit the morning and evening commutes. We'll talk about the temperatures, the wind, and how much to expect in pinpoint weather.
Now to the rapidly developing story on the other side of the world. New numbers from Turkey and Syria showing more than 34,000 people are now dead in last week's earthquake. Search and rescue crews from across the globe coming together to find any remaining survivors. And surprisingly, there are still people being found alive. Can you believe that? Cheers erupting, people chanting God is great after crews were able to rescue a young man who waved his hand while crews carried him on a stretcher earlier today. Look at that. The man reportedly told his rescuers he was one of 9 people trapped in the building, but said he hadn't heard any other voices for 3 days.
And we also know rescue crews in Turkey pulled more survivors from other areas of the country as well as they soared through the rubble of buildings that were toppled by the earthquake. The death toll from that massive quake that struck the border region between Turkey and Syria now surpassing 34,000. Humanitarian groups say people in this area will need donations for months, maybe even years, after the rescue and recovery missions have ended.
For the courage of parents rescuing their families, their children from the rubble, the courage of your first responders working 24 hours all the time to get people out, hoping for one more sound, for one more person to survive. This is something I will not forget.
The 7.8 magnitude earthquake has left tens of thousands of people that are homeless, with thousands taking refuge in shopping malls, stadiums, mosques, and community centers. There are many local organizations, by the way, working to help the victims of the earthquake, collecting donations to send it to those in need. You can find a link for that information at KDVR.com.
Right now, there are increasingly strong warnings from the U.S. government. Think twice before traveling to Mexico. Experts say some resorts, which have long been considered safe areas, may actually be controlled by Mexican drug drug cartels as a way to launder money. Tourist data suggests Americans are still heading south by the millions. Through the first 11 months of 2022, more than 30 million U.S. citizens traveled to Mexico. Well, tonight there's a renewed push to stop the sales of window blinds with cords, including those custom blinds. The goal is to prevent deaths and serious injuries to children from strangulation.
There are new federal safety standards, but those are now being challenged in court. Fox 31's Kim Posey explains in this Consumer Alert. Kim.
Yeah, the issue is cords on the blinds, the ones that hang on the side and even the ones in between the slats there. And while the new federal rule is being challenged, the window covering industry just announced some voluntary changes. It is an issue that means a lot to one Colorado family.
Daniel was just the sweetest kid.
This is Daniel Sutton, born October 25th, 2006, to David and Andrea Sutton.
He was just full of energy, just a real bright spot.
He was just 3 years old when he died at his Firestone home. His sister was the first to see him tangled in the cords to the window blinds after a nap.
She told me that Daniel was sleeping standing up. So I went upstairs to check on him. And that's when I saw that the cords were wrapped around his neck.
Heartbroken, the family wondered how this could happen. They received a settlement from the blind company and then pushed to raise awareness.
We didn't even know. We didn't know that was a thing.
In 2018, a new federal safety standard was passed requiring all stock blinds to be cordless, have inaccessible cords, or short cords. While the Window Covering Manufacturers Association is fighting a new mandatory rule change that would include custom blinds, last month the association did agree to some voluntary changes that it says will restrict 95% of window coverings sold in the U.S.
This is what's going to be eliminated.
Jessica Work is the CEO of Blinds Couture in Westminster and has already stopped selling the corded products.
We want to be a company known for how we educate our clients on the front end and just following the safety standards that are in the pipeline and being ahead of it.
She tells the problem solvers she sells lots of cordless options.
You would just grab it and lift up and then bring it back down manually.
Many are automated. Right now they do cost more, but she hopes that will change.
There's no cords that are exposed.
The Suttons have made changes in their new home, and they hope others will do the same, no matter what the regulations are.
Anyone can go cord-free.
Now, in January, the U.S. Court of Appeals granted a motion by the Window Covering Manufacturers Association to stay the Consumer Product Safety Commission's new rule as they wait for a judicial review. And attorneys say that could take months to play out. Kim Posey, Fox 31.
Now, Chief Meteorologist Dave Frazier with Colorado's most accurate forecast.
Pretty good looking Sunday out there. Some clouds early in the day. Most of them fizzled away. Tonight you can see the skies remain clear here in the east, although if you look off to the south and west, there is just the leading edge of clouds, and that is a storm system, the first one that's going to deliver some snow to the Colorado mountains tomorrow. It'll be followed by a second storm, and I'll give you a sneak peek at totals coming up for us on Tuesday night into Wednesday. First, let's get you out the door and head you out on your Monday. It's actually going to be mild, and while we'll have sunshine in the morning and some cloudiness in the afternoon, we keep it dry. Temperatures will be around 54 for forecast high. Backus and Schenker Skycam Network, we're at 34 with the south wind at 7 miles per hour. Pressure is steady. Freezing downtown, below freezing in Thornton. 31 in Lakewood, 39 in Morrison, 26 in Evergreen. We'll pull back over the northeast plains. You've got colder 20s out here over the northeast plains. And then as you look off to the west and climb up in elevation, you can clearly see the teens and even Kremling falling off again at 2 below right now. Wind isn't doing much, and we really don't expect a big deal of wind tomorrow. It'll be up and out of the south through most of the day. A little wind where you see it colored in yellow out on the eastern plains, maybe up to 15 to 20, but most of the front range winds during the day should stay below 10 miles per hour. So what can we expect overnight tonight? We're going to just basically be increasing the clouds going into your Monday morning. So here comes Monday morning at 7 a.m. We've got sunshine. We're starting the day, but the clouds start to march in our direction. Remember, this is a southern storm, so it'll just barely throw some snow showers into the north central mountains. The southern foot foothills and down near Pikes Peak might see 1 or 2 rain or snow showers. Futurecast is indicating a hint of moisture here. That's 6 o'clock. I will tell you that the air over the Front Range is very dry, and I don't think we'll see anything other than the clouds coming into play. I think everything stays up and over the mountains through the day tomorrow. Here's the wider view, and you can see the storm come up. Notice the increasing clouds and then these little bands of snow. Some of the accumulating snow is going to hit the San Juan Mountains. Notice it going up towards the I-70 corridor. 1 or 2 little hints of what looks like some moisture over the eastern plains. But you'll notice as stuff transitioned from the higher terrain onto the plains, while you may have been able to see a little green or a patch of blue, it disappears. That's that evaporation because the air is so dry. However, the mountains to the south and west, Telluride, Durango, Pagosa Springs, could do 2 to 4 inches of snow. And then the north central mountains, only generally around an inch or less because its storm is so far south. It's just a leading edge that's creeping up into the central mountains. Lows tonight, coldest is going to be the single digits. Gunnison going below at 1 below 8 in Alamosa. Otherwise, teens and 20s across the state. I've got Denver at 25. And then highs tomorrow, nice mild day. 54, 40s to the north and east, 50s and 60s to the south and east. And even with the clouds and the snow, in-town temperatures in the mountains mainly in the 30s and 40s. So here's your hour by hour. You can see the temperatures climbing up tomorrow. Your Pinpoint Weather 7-day forecast. Tuesday is the second storm. That one, the clouds increase, and after about 7 to 9 o'clock, we'll get some snow showers coming into Denver. The bigger impact for this and the reason for the Pinpoint Weather Alert Day comes on your Wednesday. Here is just a broad view of the snow to come up and out of the south. It'll accumulate, and it's a classic upslope. So only an inch over the northern Front Range to maybe 2 inches. As you come into the city and hit the foothills, you'll start to see the 3s and the 4s, and the deepest totals could be here on the south side of town. We're up to 6 inches by late on Wednesday is on the ground. The sun shines back, but it's a cold day on Thursday, and then a nice warming trend. Friday 45, Saturday 48, and how about next Sunday at 50 degrees.
Yeah, looks great, Dave. Thank you. You got to see this. He's a former scammer, and he says you need to be extra careful on dating apps this week. The secrets he's spilling about dating scams coming up.
Plus, new details about hazing allegations against a college basketball team, why the whole program is now suspended when we come back. Some new developments. New Mexico State University is investigating allegations of hazing on its men's basketball team. We told you last week the school suspended its season indefinitely. The school's chancellor released a statement this weekend saying he was, quote, heartbroken and sickened to hear about hazing allegations. The school also says employees were involved but haven't released any more details. At least 2 players have said online they are leaving the team, and the allegations come about 3 months after a fatal shooting may have involved a player and a student at another school.
All right, the big game is over, but it's sure delivered with excitement. The Chiefs winning a real close one right down to the last seconds, 38-35.
However, it wasn't without some controversy. Fox 31's Mick Miller has been in Arizona all week long. He joins us live tonight with a closer look. Mick.
Yeah, obviously the conversation surrounding the Chiefs' 38-35 victory over the Philadelphia Eagles is that holding penalty that happened in the final minutes of Super Bowl 57. But I want to dispel any sort of controversy as it pertains to the call. The call was a right call, and the referees talked about that. James Bradbury, the cornerback for the Philadelphia Eagles, even admitted in the locker room that it was a hold. But here's where the issue lies with the NFL officiating. It's not that they got the call wrong per se, but it's the lack of consistency. The referees were allowing both teams to play the entire matchup, and at the end of the day, this is not how Roger Goodell, the NFL, and the fans want a Super Bowl to end. They don't want the story to be the NFL officials inserting themselves into the game and allowing a call to determine the outcome of the victory. Now, at the end of the day, Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, they were just better. In the second half, they scored on every single one of their drives, 24 second half points. They did not allow a sack, they did not have a penalty, and they did not turn the ball over in the second half. So they did win this game. However, the conversation surrounding the officials is the lack of consistency. This is something that dated back to Championship Sunday and also comes on the heels of earlier this week, Commissioner Roger Goodell saying the referees have never been better. Obviously, we live in a world of social media, so the fans' voices are amplified even more. But at the end of the day, it's Patrick Mahomes once again winning his second Super Bowl down here in Glendale, Arizona. Arizona, guys.
Yeah, of course there's going to be strong opinions about this, Mick. Biggest game of the year. Mick, thank you so much.
Yeah, good. I hope you get some rest, Mick. Great week down there for sure. We've enjoyed it. Well, Valentine's Day is this week, and the scammers are going to be out looking for love as well. We're sitting down with a former scammer about what to watch out for coming up.
Plus, it's not just Super Bowl 57 we're celebrating today. A look back as the Broncos mark 25 years since their first Super Bowl win. Coming up.
Your Fox 31 Pinpoint Weather 7-day forecast is sponsored by Furniture Row. Incredible selection and guaranteed lowest prices. Real furniture, real value. Furniture Row. There's one word that keeps driving us forward. One word that motivates us to set a higher standard. To deliver the most local and live news coverage from where you live. And Emmy Award-winning breaking news coverage. That word is commitment. Fox 31 News, the biggest coverage and a level of commitment unmatched in local television. We're on it. How comfortable? This is how we lead. Fox 31 Morning News, the most local news in Colorado. The biggest team, the biggest coverage, the only station delivering news all morning long. We're on it. The biggest team, the biggest commitment. Fox 31 News.